type of person who sets 5 alarms for someone else. I get so annoyed when someone in a group project doesn't do their work, or a housemate doesn't do their share of chores, or my sister doesn't wake up on time when we have a full day of plans ahead. Clearly, I needed to learn to be more functional, and I chose the hard way with multiple crash outs, this book, and irritating my family and my girlfriend more times than I can count. Oops. But it turns out what actually makes me feel better isn't trying to get someone to do it my way, but rather accepting what's not in my control. So if you feel like you're always the responsible one, or you're always doing too much, this might save you some stress. So this is a typical morning with me and my sister when we have a full day of plans ahead. Jessica, wake up, we have plans at 11.
I'm coming, I'm gonna come.
Okay, fine. Hurry, be quick. Jessica, are you still asleep? What are you doing? Get up. It's 10:40 and you have to get ready and you take so long. Hurry, get out. Jessica, what the hell are you doing? Why are you upset? Why are you still in bed?
I'm up.
Oh my god, it's literally 11:10.
There's 2 minutes,
We're not gonna make it on time. And I'll spend the next 30 minutes getting mad at my sister just so we can leave even later. Problem solved. How productive. In my defense, I'm not a megalomaniac, but this need for control is biologically hardwired, according to this study. And the removal of control actually triggers stress responses. Ha, it's not just me, it's my brain. Okay, but it's still really unhelpful. So why does everyone else's behavior become my problem? Okay, so I was having an argument with my sister, as sisters do, and I was yapping to my mum about it, of course, about how unfair it was that my sister was doing whatever she was doing. And my mum started questioning me about my concept of fairness. You know, Caitlin, you think that's fair, but do you think Jessica thinks that? Obviously not. I mean, she's not considering all the variables like I am. I get how she's feeling, but considering the whole situation, it would still be unfair for her to act like that. And then my mum said, well, Caitlin, do you think you know all the variables? To which I said, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I do. I mean, I'm trying to look at things objectively. I don't know. What the hell? It seems pretty fair to me. And then she said, to you? And it finally clicked in my peanut head that my concept of fairness wasn't actually fair. It was just my opinion. Duh. And this sounds ridiculously simple, of course, everyone has their own perspective. But in the moment, I'd always find myself getting upset over things that I thought weren't fair. Like a perceived injustice, as if that's a crime or something. Like, you know, you do the cleaning, I'll mop, or you do the first 200 words of the essay, I'll do the last, or something. But what actually is fairness? Like equal effort, equal time, equal sacrifice, because those are all different. Like, it's my definition of fairness, but I can't say for certainty it's your definition of fairness, since we each view things with our own view, through our own perspective. But what's actually unfair is me trying to infringe my idea of fairness onto other people. In fact, that's almost never gonna be effective, because people will always resist change because of their own biological need for control. So it's just never gonna work. The more you try and push something on someone, the more they push back. I don't know if you're watching this, you're probably like, this is literally the simplest concept ever. How have you not realized this? But just shush. It took me some time to get this into my head, please. So yeah, maybe I think it would be fair if my sister woke up a little bit earlier, or 12 p.m. But then again, I'm a morning person and she's a night owl, so is it really fair for me to expect that? I mean, I would find it unfair if she forced me to stay up. So, you know, it's very much your own perspective, very much my perspective. But this brings me on to... See, when you think laterally about situations and remove the arbitrary concept of fairness, you're way more likely to accept the situation as it is. And I read this wonderful book called Let Them by Mel Robbins, where she talks about the let them and let me theory. So when a friend cancels plans for no reason, or a family member gives you a crazy unsolicited opinion, it's very easy, at least for me, to rile myself up. And this is that biological stress response I was talking about, infringing on your need for control. But Mel Robbins talks about how you can interrupt this stress response with a simple let them. Okay, Caitlin, what the hell are you even talking about? Let me get on to that. I'm so glad you asked, because I freaking loved this sailor's analogy. And I know analogies can sometimes feel really far removed, but I really liked this one. So sailors are pretty smart, actually. They understand that when there's strong winds in a direction you're trying to go to, you can't just sail through them. You can't just bombard your way through the winds. It's never gonna work, because you're just gonna stall. You're never gonna go anywhere. Just like trying to change people's behaviors directly and stubbornly is never gonna work, and you're just gonna get frustrated. So instead they use something called tacking, where they kind of zigzag their way through the wind, and they're making forward progress, but it's indirectly. And this kind of applies to this concept, because when you accept that there's wind, you accept the situation for what it is. It's unfortunate, but it's just what it is. Getting defensive is sort of like trying to fight your way through. So if someone cancels your plans, hey, fine. You can't change that, but you can reschedule your day, or you can fill it up with pretty cool stuff. You don't have to get angry or sit and complain or vent about it for ages. You can just like work with it. It's fine. So interrupting your spiral with a let them allows you to accept the situation as it is. And then you can reevaluate how you want to act next. Because the end goal isn't just acceptance, but it's finding a better way to act in concordance with your values. But this isn't looking down on people. It's quite easy to feel like you're taking the high road and that you're just more intellectually developed. You can look past such measly, incompetent human behavior. You know, like, she didn't clean up after herself because she's lazy, but that's not my problem. But you see, that's not actually true acceptance, because you're just judging them. Like, judgment isn't actual acceptance. And it can kind of make you withdraw from people and like connections and the situation, which is just not good, because you're kind of like isolating yourself. And this also isn't saying to just try and be apathetic or nonchalant, especially when you actually care a lot about the situation. It's more about redirecting your care to something that's actually useful to you, because like complaining about a situation and getting upset is actually not useful to you, but maybe changing your behavior to actually help the situation is. And this is where let me comes in. Transition. Okay, when I say let me, that's really just me taking control of the situation and allowing myself to take control of how I respond next. So for example, it might be that maybe she didn't clean because she was tired, or maybe she's going through something. I could ask her if she's all right, and then I could clean up as well, because it really takes like 5 minutes and it's not that big of a bother to me. And I can literally hear my past self being like, that is so unfair. Why should I clean up after her when she didn't do it herself? Like, she's being lazy and now I have to work harder because of her laziness. Girl, I'm not doing that. But I was reading up on some principles of stoicism, and I know this sounds very alpha male podcast right now, but hear me out. Stoicism teaches that emotional suffering comes from our judgment of the events, not the actual events themselves. And by stopping yourself struggling against unchangeable circumstances, you free up energy to respond intentionally and effectively, rather than reacting emotionally. Toast and Nutella, ultimate combo? I think so. So if I'm judging that it's unfair to clean up after someone, then that judgment is what's actually gonna make me more upset, rather than the 5 minutes actually cleaning. And in actuality, it might not be as unfair as I might have thought, because obviously, like, you don't see the effort that other people do because you constantly live through your experience. It's just quite hard to internalize that fact, because obviously we live through our experiences. But like, yeah, I had to really internalize that other people live through their experiences, and things that I see as fair might not be, and I might not be seeing the effort and things that other people put in. And there's probably a bunch of things that I act very unfairly in that I just don't see, and it's not intentional. but why don't I give that same grace to other people? Food for thought, food for thought. Or actual food. The point is, it wasn't the 5 minutes of extra cleaning that actually upset me. Rather, the story I painted in my head of how it was unfair, and maybe the hours spent complaining about it. And honestly, it's never really that deep if things are a little unfair, so... But like, sometimes things actually do impact you. Like, it's legit just impacting you, it's actually burdensome. And here, Mel Robbins talks about assessing how serious the situation is. So, is it gonna affect you in an hour, a day, maybe a year? And sometimes it does. So what if it does genuinely impact your life and just make your life harder? Well then, Mel Robbins says to communicate and set boundaries and see what support you can get to relieve your burden, basically. Because this certainly isn't to say that you should just bottle everything up and like resolve yourself and never say a word to anyone else when you're upset. Like, you can communicate and accept situations as they are simultaneously. Because like the whole purpose of this is to just relieve your emotional burden when the situation stays the same. Like when you can't change the situation and you're getting all upset about it, this is literally just to like help you not get upset about it, basically. Because you can never really reliably change other people or the situation, because that's just never gonna work. Sometimes the only thing you can really do is change your outlook or your reaction. And if that helps, then like, what's the harm? Okay, so there's a big concept of adaptability in what I'm saying. And listen, I'm autistic, famously terrible at changing plans. So if I can do it, anyone can. How do you even learn to be adaptable? Well, it's still something I'm working towards, but these are some of the things that I'm doing. Going back to my little sister waking up late in the morning, first thing I would do is notice when I can't change something. I just, is what it is, it's not changing. If I yell at her, she's not gonna get up. She's sleeping in, she's committed to that bed, fine. And then once you accept it, you can just stop agonizing over it. I use the let them concept to detach from my judgment of the situation or the person, and I let go of the need to control or criticize them, because that is an instinct, unfortunately. Okay, next thing I do is an immediate redirect. So I've got that interruption thought, the let them, which kind of stops me from just immediately spiraling. And then I take a couple seconds to remind myself what I can control in this situation. I can't control how long my sister takes to get ready. She's gonna take her time. I can't control that. But what I can control is my reaction, how I use my time going forward, and how I speak to my sister. I can make sure that I don't get angry and rile myself up, because that is just gonna make me feel worse and waste even more time. I can control how I use that time, because now I've got some extra time. My plans are delayed, but that's fine. I can refill up this time with something productive to me. And even if that's just reading a few more chapters of my favorite manga. And then I can choose to be kind to my sister, because if I yell at her and I get mad at her, that's just gonna ruin the day and make everything even worse. I don't wanna allow things to spiral like that. So I can choose to be kind and understanding. And I'm not putting myself on a high horse or anything. It's just accepting it. It's just fine. Okay, sometimes it's really hard to do this with yourself. So I use external reframing. So I will talk to someone about it. Hearing someone close to me be like, Caitlin, it's really not that serious. Like, you're still in control of like all of these things. That's just like makes me feel so much better. It just helps me reframe a lot, and I am very, very grateful for that. And as long as you're not being overburdensome, other people can be very, very grounding, because even when you're not in control of a situation or a person, something's not going your way, you can still control who you are inside of that. And that is a lot more peaceful. A peaceful route, which I need, because I'm gonna lose hair. So that late mornings with my sister don't have to ruin the whole day. They can look a little more something like this. Wow, thank you so much for subscribing. That's so nice, right? That is so nice. Thank you.